Legacy of the Night. In the heart of New York City, amidst the towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, lies the Kingsfield Mental Facility, a place shrouded in darkness and despair. It is here that James Morrison, a patient haunted by his own demons, plots his daring escape. With madness gripping his mind and fear driving his every move, James knows that he must break free from the confines of the facility to fulfill his sinister purpose. For months, James has been consumed by an all-consuming obsession with a young woman named Emily. Her image haunts his dreams, her laughter echoing in the empty halls of his mind. He believes her to be the key to his salvation, the one who will bring meaning to his twisted existence. And so, fueled by madness and desperation, James sets his sights on stalking Emily, his every thought consumed by the need to possess her. Under the cover of darkness, James executes his meticulously crafted plan to escape from Kingsfield. With a mix of cunning and ruthlessness, he outwits the guards and slips through the facility's defenses, leaving chaos and confusion in his wake. His heart pounds with anticipation as he takes his first steps towards freedom, his mind filled with visions of Emily waiting for him beyond the city limits. As James ventures out into the city streets, he becomes acutely aware of the eyes watching him from the shadows. Paranoia grips his mind as he imagines the authorities hot on his trail, their sirens wailing in the distance. But he pushes on, driven by his obsession with Emily and the need to claim her as his own. With each passing hour, James draws closer to his target, his senses heightened by the thrill of the chase. He lurks in the shadows, watching Emily from afar, his every move calculated to ensure that she remains unaware of his presence. But as he inches closer to her, he realizes that he is not the only one playing this dangerous game. As James delves deeper into Emily's life, he uncovers dark secrets that threaten to shatter his fragile grip on reality. He learns of her troubled past, her broken relationships, and the scars that she bears both inside and out. And with each revelation, he becomes more convinced that she is the key to his redemption, the one who will heal the wounds of his tortured soul. Haunted by memories of his own past, James struggles to reconcile the horrors he has witnessed with the twisted fantasies that now consume his mind. Visions of his childhood tormentors and the voices that taunted him in the dead of night swirl around him, threatening to drag him back into the abyss of madness from which he has only just escaped. As James's obsession with Emily reaches its fever pitch, he hatches a sinister plan to make her his own. With a mix of manipulation and deceit, he worms his way into her life, masquerading as a sympathetic stranger eager to offer her comfort and companionship. But beneath his charming facade lies a darkness that threatens to consume them both. As James's hold over Emily tightens, cracks begin to form in the facade of his carefully constructed illusion. She senses something amiss, a shadow lurking behind his smile, and begins to question his motives. But James will stop at nothing to possess her, his grip on reality slipping further with each passing moment. As Emily confronts James about his true intentions, the shocking truth is revealed: she is his long-lost daughter, torn from him by forces beyond his control. In a moment of clarity, James realizes the depth of his depravity and the horror of what he has become. But it may be too late to escape the darkness that threatens to consume them both. Emily's world shatters as James reveals the truth of their relationship. Shocked and repulsed, she recoils from him, unable to comprehend the depths of his madness. Her heart races with fear as she realizes the danger she's in, trapped in a nightmare of her father's making. With horror driving her every step, Emily flees from James, her mind racing with thoughts of escape. She darts through the labyrinthine streets of New York, every shadow concealing the threat of her father's pursuit. Panic-stricken, she knows she must find a way to outwit him before it's too late. James's desperation turns to rage as Emily eludes his grasp. Consumed by the need to possess her, he prowls the city streets like a predator on the hunt, his mind consumed by visions of revenge. With each passing moment, his grip on reality slips further, his obsession driving him to the brink of madness. As the night wears on, James and Emily become locked in a deadly game of cat and mouse. He stalks her through the crowded streets, his every move calculated to keep her within his sight. But Emily is resourceful, and she uses every trick at her disposal to evade capture, her determination to survive outweighing her fear. In a heart-stopping moment of confrontation, James finally corners Emily in a deserted alleyway. His eyes burn with madness as he reaches out to claim her, his grip tightening around her throat. But Emily fights back with all her strength, unleashing a fury born of desperation and fear. In the chaos of their struggle, tragedy strikes with devastating force. A misstep, a moment of hesitation, and James's grip slips, sending both father and daughter tumbling to the ground. The sound of Emily's scream echoes through the alley, a chilling lament for the life she once knew. As Emily cradles her father's lifeless body in her arms, a wave of conflicting emotions washes over her. Despite everything he's done, he was still her father, a broken soul lost to the darkness. With tears streaming down her face, she whispers a final farewell, her heart heavy with grief and regret. As dawn breaks over the city, Emily emerges from the alley, her body bruised and her spirit broken. The streets of New York lie silent and deserted, a stark contrast to the chaos of the night before. She walks alone, her footsteps echoing in the emptiness, haunted by the memories of the horrors she's endured. Though James may be gone, his presence lingers on in the shadows of Emily's mind. She struggles to come to terms with the truth of their relationship, grappling with the weight of her father's sins. But even as she tries to move on, she knows that she will never truly be free from the darkness that haunts her past. As Emily disappears into the heart of the city, she knows that her ordeal is far from over. The scars of her father's madness run deep, a constant reminder of the fragility of her own sanity. And as the night stretches on into eternity, she wonders if she will ever truly be able to escape the darkness that threatens to consume her. With the weight of her father's legacy heavy on her shoulders, Emily embarks on the long journey home. Every step is a struggle, every passing moment a reminder of the horrors she's endured. But she presses on, determined to leave the nightmare of New York City behind her. As Emily returns to her childhood home, she finds herself haunted by memories of happier times. The walls seem to whisper secrets of days gone by, and the echoes of her father's madness linger in every corner. But amidst the pain and sorrow, there is a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption in the face of darkness. In the quiet solitude of her childhood bedroom, Emily begins the slow process of healing. She surrounds herself with familiar comforts, seeking solace in the familiar rhythms of everyday life. But beneath the surface, the wounds of her past still fester, a constant reminder of the horrors she's endured. As Emily struggles to come to terms with her father's legacy, she finds comfort in the love and support of her friends and family. They stand by her side, offering words of encouragement and shoulders to lean on in her darkest hours. With their help, she begins to find the strength to confront her demons and forge a new path forward. As time passes, Emily's resolve to confront her past grows stronger. She delves into her father's history, uncovering long-buried secrets and painful truths that shake her to her core. But with each revelation, she gains a deeper understanding of the man he once was and the darkness that drove him to madness. In a moment of clarity, Emily returns to the alley where her father met his end, seeking closure for the wounds that still linger in her heart. As she stands amidst the shadows, she reflects on the choices that led them both down this dark and twisted path. And with a heavy heart, she releases her father's spirit to find peace in the afterlife. With her father's spirit finally at rest, Emily finds herself on the path to redemption. She channels her pain and sorrow into acts of kindness and compassion, reaching out to those in need with a newfound sense of purpose. And in the process, she begins to heal the wounds of her own shattered soul. As Emily embraces her newfound purpose, she sets out to make a difference in the world around her. She volunteers at local charities, lends a helping hand to those less fortunate, and spreads a message of hope and healing wherever she goes. And with each act of kindness, she finds herself moving closer to a brighter future. In the end, Emily's story becomes one of love and forgiveness, a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of shadows. Though her father's legacy may have cast a long shadow over her life, she refuses to let it define her. Instead, she chooses to honor his memory with acts of kindness and compassion, spreading light in the darkness wherever she goes. As Emily looks to the future with renewed hope and optimism, she knows that her journey is far from over. The scars of her past may never fully heal, but she refuses to let them hold her back. With courage in her heart and a determination to make a difference, she steps boldly into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Shadows of the forgotten. In the heart of the small town of Briarwood, there stood an old house that had long been abandoned. Its once grand facade now weathered and worn, the windows boarded up like hollow eyes staring out into the darkness. Locals whispered tales of tragic events that had unfolded within its walls, warning others to steer clear of its cursed halls. When the Peterson family moved into Briarwood, they were drawn to the old house's eerie charm. Ignoring the warnings of the townsfolk, they saw it as an opportunity to start anew, unaware of the darkness that lurked within its depths. Strange occurrences began to plague the Petersons soon after they settled into their new home. Doors slammed shut on their own, and mysterious whispers echoed through the empty halls at night. Mrs. Peterson dismissed them as figments of her imagination, but Mr. Peterson couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at play. One stormy night, young Emily Peterson vanished without a trace. The townsfolk searched high and low, but there was no sign of the girl. As suspicion fell on the old house, rumors of its cursed past resurfaced, casting a shadow of fear over the tight-knit community. Determined to uncover the truth, Mr. Peterson delved into the house's history, uncovering a dark and twisted tale of betrayal and murder. He soon realized that the key to finding his daughter lay hidden within the house's haunted halls. As Mr. Peterson delved deeper into the house's secrets, he felt a malevolent presence watching his every move. Shadows danced along the walls, and cold drafts whispered through the corridors, chilling him to the bone. He knew he was not alone. Desperate for answers, Mr. Peterson sought the help of a renowned paranormal expert, Dr. Elizabeth Monroe. Dr. Monroe had spent years studying the supernatural and was intrigued by the mysteries surrounding the old house. Together, they embarked on a journey into the unknown, determined to uncover the truth. In a desperate bid to communicate with the other side, Dr. Monroe conducted a seance in the old house. As the candles flickered and the room grew cold, they called out to the spirits that lingered within its walls, hoping to unravel the mystery of Emily's disappearance. But their attempts to contact the spirits only seemed to anger the malevolent entity that dwelled within the house. Shadows writhed and twisted, and a sense of dread hung heavy in the air. Dr. Monroe knew they had awakened something far more sinister than they had bargained for. With time running out and Emily's fate hanging in the balance, Mr. Peterson and Dr. Monroe forged an unholy alliance with the spirits that haunted the old house. But as they delved deeper into the darkness, they realized that some secrets are better left buried, for the price of uncovering them may be too high to pay. Haunted by visions of his missing daughter, Mr. Peterson's grip on reality began to unravel. Every creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind seemed to echo Emily's name, driving him to the brink of madness. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged as he discovered a hidden passageway beneath the house. Within the hidden passageway, Mr. Peterson unearthed a series of cryptic clues that hinted at the true nature of the old house's dark past. Symbols etched into the walls and faded journals spoke of a malevolent force that had claimed the lives of those who dared to cross its path. Driven by desperation, Mr. Peterson and Dr. Monroe delved deeper into the mysteries of the old house, uncovering a long-forgotten ritual that promised to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. But as they prepared to enact the ritual, they realized too late the grave consequences of meddling with forces beyond their control. As the ritual began, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy, and the boundaries between the living and the dead began to blur. Shadows danced along the walls, and whispers filled the room, as Mr. Peterson and Dr. Monroe found themselves standing on the threshold of a realm beyond comprehension. Within the depths of the old house, Mr. Peterson and Dr. Monroe were confronted by the spirits of the past, tormented souls trapped between the worlds of the living and the dead. Each ghostly apparition bore witness to the atrocities that had transpired within the house's cursed walls, their anguished cries echoing through the corridors. In a desperate bid to save Emily, Mr. Peterson struck a bargain with death itself, offering his own soul in exchange for his daughter's safe return. But as the ancient deity loomed over him, its eyes burning with an otherworldly fire, he realized too late the true cost of his actions. With a flicker of its bony fingers, death whisked Emily away into the darkness, leaving Mr. Peterson alone to face the consequences of his folly. Dr. Monroe watched in horror as her companion was dragged into the depths of the underworld, a solemn reminder of the price of redemption. As Mr. Peterson's screams echoed through the old house, a wave of darkness swept through the town of Briarwood, unleashing a curse that would haunt its inhabitants for generations to come. Shadows lurked in every corner, and whispers filled the night as the town descended into madness. Night after night, the town of Briarwood was plagued by visions of horror and despair as the curse of the old house tightened its grip on the unsuspecting residents. Madness spread like wildfire, consuming all who dared to defy its malevolent will, until the once peaceful town was transformed into a realm of eternal darkness. As the darkness closed in around them, Dr. Monroe and the remaining townsfolk gathered in the old house for one final showdown with the forces of evil. Armed with nothing but their courage and determination, they prepared to face their greatest challenge yet, knowing that the fate of Briarwood hung in the balance. In the eerie silence of the old house, Dr. Monroe and the townsfolk braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation with the malevolent force that had plagued Briarwood for so long. With weapons drawn and hearts pounding, they prepared to fight for their lives and the soul of their town. As the clock struck midnight, the old house trembled with the weight of their collective fear and determination. Shadows twisted and writhed, coalescing into monstrous forms that lunged at the brave defenders. With a cry of defiance, they met the darkness head-on, their courage shining like a beacon in the night. Amidst the chaos of battle, Dr. Monroe found herself face to face with the spirits of the old house's tragic past. Their anguished cries echoed through the halls, pleading for release from their eternal torment. With tears in her eyes, Dr. Monroe vowed to set them free, no matter the cost. As the battle raged on, Mr. Peterson stumbled upon a long-forgotten relic hidden deep within the bowels of the old house. It glowed with an otherworldly light, beckoning him closer with promises of salvation. With a trembling hand, he grasped the relic, its power coursing through his veins like liquid fire. With the relic in hand, Mr. Peterson unleashed a surge of raw energy that engulfed the old house in a blinding light. Shadows recoiled and monsters shrieked in agony as the very fabric of reality seemed to warp and twist. With a triumphant roar, Mr. Peterson unleashed the full extent of his newfound power upon the forces of darkness. As the light subsided, Dr. Monroe and the townsfolk emerged from the old house, battered but victorious. The curse that had plagued Briarwood for so long had been broken, and the spirits of the past had finally found peace. With tears of joy, they celebrated their hard-won victory, knowing that their sacrifices had not been in vain. In the wake of the battle, Briarwood slowly began to heal from the scars of its haunted past. The old house stood silent and empty, its dark secrets buried beneath the rubble of its crumbling walls. Life returned to normal, but the memory of the horrors that had unfolded within its walls would linger for generations to come. As the years passed, the story of Dr. Monroe and the brave townsfolk who had stood against the forces of darkness became legend in Briarwood. Their courage and sacrifice served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could still triumph over despair. With the curse lifted, Briarwood blossomed once more into a vibrant community filled with laughter and joy. Children played in the streets, and the town bustled with life as the shadow of the old house faded into memory. But beneath the surface, a lingering sense of unease remained, a reminder of the fragility of peace in a world haunted by darkness. Though the old house lay in ruins, its legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of the people of Briarwood. They vowed never to forget the sacrifices that had been made to save their town from oblivion and to remain ever vigilant against the encroaching shadows that threatened to engulf them once more. Despite the newfound peace in Briarwood, whispers of the old house's dark past continued to linger on the wind. Some claimed to still hear the faint cries of the lost souls that had once haunted its halls, a haunting reminder of the town's tumultuous history. As time passed, new mysteries emerged surrounding the old house and its cursed legacy. Strange occurrences were reported by those brave enough to venture near its crumbling remains, fueling rumors of restless spirits and lingering malevolence. One fateful night, a lone traveler stumbled upon the ruins of the old house, drawn by the allure of its tragic past. Ignoring the warnings of the townsfolk, he ventured inside, unaware of the horrors that awaited him in the darkness. As the traveler explored the dilapidated corridors of the old house, he unwittingly unleashed a dormant evil that had lain dormant for years. Shadows stirred and whispers echoed through the halls as the malevolent force that had once plagued Briarwood began to awaken once more. With each passing moment, the traveler felt the grip of fear tighten around his heart as he realized the true nature of the darkness that lurked within the old house. Every shadow seemed to leer at him with malevolent intent, and every whisper sent shivers down his spine. Haunted by visions of horror and despair, the traveler's mind began to unravel as he delved deeper into the bowels of the old house. Reality twisted and warped around him, and he found himself trapped in a labyrinth of his own making, tormented by the ghosts of the past. With nowhere left to run, the traveler found himself locked in a deadly struggle for survival against the forces of darkness. Shadows clawed at him from every direction, and whispers echoed through the darkness, driving him to the brink of madness. In his darkest hour, the traveler discovered the key to defeating the evil that had ensnared him within the old house. With a newfound sense of determination, he confronted the darkness head-on, wielding the power of his own courage and resilience against the forces of evil. As the traveler emerged from the old house, battered but victorious, he was greeted by the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. With a sense of relief and gratitude, he knew that he had triumphed over the darkness that had threatened to consume him, and that he had emerged from the shadows stronger than ever before. With the old house finally laid to rest, Briarwood was free from the specter of its haunted past. The traveler's bravery and sacrifice served as a beacon of hope for the townsfolk, reminding them that even in the face of the darkest despair, there was always light to be found. Whispers in the night in the heart of the sleepy town of Ravenwood stood an old mansion, its towering silhouette casting a foreboding shadow over the surrounding landscape. The mansion had long been abandoned, its once grand facade now crumbling and weather-worn, a haunting reminder of a bygone era. Locals whispered tales of tragedy and despair that had befallen its former occupants, warning others to steer clear of its cursed halls. Despite the warnings, a group of curious teenagers decided to explore the abandoned mansion one moonlit night. Armed with flashlights and tingling with excitement, they ventured into the darkness, eager to uncover its secrets and test their bravery. Little did they know, they were about to unleash forces beyond their wildest imagination. As the teenagers stepped across the threshold of the old mansion, a chill ran down their spines, and the air grew thick with an ominous presence. Shadows danced along the walls, and whispers echoed through the empty corridors, sending shivers down their spines. But fueled by youthful curiosity, they pressed on, unaware of the darkness that awaited them. Strange occurrences began to unfold as the teenagers explored the mansion's labyrinthine halls. Doors slammed shut on their own, and ghostly apparitions flickered in and out of sight. Uneasy laughter filled the air, and a sense of dread settled over the group like a suffocating blanket. Something sinister lurked within the mansion's depths, waiting to reveal itself. As they delved deeper into the mansion's secrets, one of the teenagers, Sarah, suddenly vanished without a trace. Panic-stricken, her friends searched frantically for her, calling out her name into the darkness. But Sarah was gone, swallowed up by the malevolent forces that lurked within the old mansion. With Sarah's disappearance weighing heavily on their minds, the remaining teenagers struggled to maintain their composure as they continued their exploration of the mansion. Every creak of the floorboards and rustle of the curtains sent their hearts racing, and a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air. They knew they were not alone. Amidst the chaos and fear, the teenagers stumbled upon a hidden chamber deep within the mansion, its walls adorned with occult symbols and faded portraits of its former inhabitants. Strange artifacts littered the room, hinting at a dark and twisted history that had long been forgotten. As they gazed upon the eerie tableau, a cold dread settled over them, and they realized they had stumbled upon something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. As night fell and darkness enveloped the mansion, the teenagers found themselves plagued by haunting visions and nightmares that seemed to seep into their very souls. Tormented by the spirits of the past, they struggled to distinguish between reality and illusion, their minds consumed by fear and uncertainty. The old mansion had awakened, and it hungered for their souls. With their sanity hanging by a thread, the teenagers made a desperate bid to escape the mansion's clutches and return to the safety of the outside world. But as they raced through the labyrinth of corridors and staircases, they found themselves ensnared in a web of malevolent forces that sought to trap them within its walls forever. With each passing moment, the darkness closed in around them, threatening to consume them whole. With their sanity hanging by a thread, the teenagers made a desperate bid to escape the mansion's clutches and return to the safety of the outside world. But as they raced through the labyrinth of corridors and staircases, they found themselves ensnared in a web of malevolent forces that sought to trap them within its walls forever. With each passing moment, the darkness closed in around them, threatening to consume them whole. In their darkest hour, the teenagers made a pact with the darkness that lurked within the mansion, offering up their own souls in exchange for Sarah's safe return. But as they sealed the deal with blood and whispered promises, they realized too late the true nature of the entity they had bargained with. It was a deal that would damn them all to an eternity of torment and despair. As the teenagers' pact with darkness took hold, Sarah was returned to them, but she was not the same. Her eyes held a vacant stare, and her voice carried an otherworldly echo. It was clear that she had been touched by the malevolent forces that lurked within the mansion, and her presence filled the group with a sense of dread. With Sarah's return, the group's sense of unity began to fray. Paranoid whispers and accusing glances filled the air as each member questioned the other's motives. The darkness that had once been confined to the mansion now seeped into their midst, twisting their thoughts and turning them against one another. Night after night, the teenagers were plagued by haunting dreams that seemed to blur the lines between reality and nightmare. They found themselves trapped in a never-ending cycle of terror and despair, tormented by visions of their darkest fears come to life. Sleep became a curse, and waking hours offered no respite from the horrors that lurked within their own minds. As the darkness tightened its grip on the group, they came face to face with the malevolent entity that had taken hold of the mansion. It manifested itself as a swirling mass of shadows and whispers, its form ever shifting and incomprehensible. With each passing moment, its influence grew stronger, and the teenagers found themselves powerless to resist its insidious hold. Driven to the brink of madness by the relentless onslaught of darkness, the teenagers struggled to hold onto their sanity as they battled against forces beyond their comprehension. Reality warped and twisted around them, and the lines between friend and foe blurred into obscurity. They were alone in a world of shadows, with no hope of escape. In their desperation to break free from the grip of darkness, one among them made a deal with the malevolent entity, offering up the souls of their friends in exchange for their own salvation. With a heavy heart and a mind clouded by fear, they betrayed those they once called friends, sealing their fate in the process. As the darkness claimed its final victims, the mansion's ancient walls echoed with the screams of the damned. Shadows writhed and twisted, consuming everything in their path as the teenagers were dragged into the abyss, their souls torn asunder by the malevolent force that had taken hold of them. It was a sacrifice to appease the darkness, a grim reminder of the price of salvation. With the teenagers gone, the old mansion fell silent once more, its halls empty and its secrets buried beneath the weight of centuries. The darkness had claimed its final victory, and Ravenwood was left to mourn the loss of its youth. But as the years passed, whispers of the cursed mansion lingered on, a warning to all who dared to venture too close. Despite the passage of time, the old mansion remained a beacon of darkness in the heart of Ravenwood, its presence casting a long shadow over the town. Those who passed by its crumbling walls could still hear the faint whispers of the lost souls that had once inhabited its halls, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lay within. As new generations grew and old memories faded, the old mansion's dark legacy lived on, destined to repeat its cycle of horror and despair for eternity. The whispers in the night grew louder, and the shadows grew deeper, as Ravenwood remained forever haunted by the darkness that lurked within its midst. Years later, a paranormal investigator arrived in Ravenwood, drawn by the town's dark history and the legends surrounding the old mansion. Armed with cameras and recording equipment, he ventured into the abandoned halls, determined to uncover the truth behind the whispers in the night. As the investigator delved deeper into the mysteries of the old mansion, he found himself haunted by visions of the past. Ghostly apparitions flickered in and out of sight, and whispers echoed through the empty corridors, filling him with a sense of unease. But he pressed on, driven by a relentless curiosity to uncover the truth. In the bowels of the mansion, the investigator unearthed a hidden chamber filled with ancient artifacts and occult symbols. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and faded journals spoke of dark rituals and unspeakable horrors that had transpired within its walls. It was a treasure trove of secrets waiting to be revealed. As the investigator explored the hidden chamber, he unwittingly unleashed a malevolent force that had long been dormant within the mansion. Shadows writhed and twisted, and a sense of dread settled over him, like a suffocating blanket. He realized too late that he had awakened something far more sinister than he could have ever imagined. With the darkness closing in around him, the investigator made a desperate bid to escape the mansion's clutches and return to the safety of the outside world. But every corridor seemed to lead him deeper into the darkness, and every door slammed shut behind him, trapping him in a nightmarish labyrinth from which there was no escape. As the darkness descended upon him, the investigator prepared to make his final stand against the malevolent force that lurked within the mansion. With courage and determination, he faced the shadows head-on, armed with nothing but his wits and his will to survive. It was a battle for his very soul, and he knew that only one would emerge victorious. In the midst of the chaos, the investigator uncovered a startling revelation that shook him to his core. The malevolent force that had plagued the mansion for centuries was not a mere entity of darkness, but a manifestation of the town's collective sins and regrets. It was a curse born from the depths of human despair, and it would not rest until it had claimed every last soul in Ravenwood. With the weight of the town's dark legacy pressing down upon him, the investigator made the ultimate sacrifice to break the curse that had plagued Ravenwood for generations. With a final act of defiance, he offered up his own soul to appease the malevolent force, knowing that his sacrifice would bring peace to the town once and for all. As the investigator's sacrifice broke the curse that had held Ravenwood in its grip for so long, a sense of peace descended upon the town. The old mansion crumbled to dust, its dark secrets buried beneath the rubble, and the whispers in the night faded into silence. It was a new beginning for Ravenwood, a chance for redemption and renewal. In the years that followed, Ravenwood flourished once more, its dark past nothing more than a distant memory. The investigator's sacrifice was honored and remembered by the townsfolk, a testament to the power of courage and selflessness in the face of unimaginable darkness. And though the old mansion lay in ruins, its legacy lived on as a reminder of the dangers that lurked within the shadows,